There's once again talk in Congress of repealing the federal estate tax, which is a welcome effort for many farm and ranch families. We now want to put things in perspective by looking at the estate tax returns filed in 2021. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now with a breakdown. Roger, before we dig into the numbers, can you review some of the basic elements of the federal estate tax?
Sure, Tammy. Good to be with you. It is a net worth concept, so not every dollar gets taxed. You have to subtract out debts and obligations to get down to net worth, and then that's what the tax rate applies to. But the present exemption is $12.92 million, so that's $25.84 million for a married couple that's exempt from federal estate tax. Plus, at the death of the first spouse, we have portability of any unused exclusion at the death of the first spouse that can be ported over to the surviving spouse. So the exemption really covers just about everybody that's out there. It's a very small percentage that have to pay any federal estate tax. But the issue is, and this is why we see proposed legislation again and talk in Congress about the estate tax, is that the exemption is scheduled to drop to $5 million for deaths starting in 2026. But that'll be in 2011 dollars, so it'll probably come in at about $7 to $7.5 million. But at that time, with 2 more years of inflation adjustments, it'll probably be up around 15 million. So essentially cutting in half if Congress does nothing.
So how many federal estate tax returns were filed in 21 and how many involved agricultural estates?
Yeah, that's the key question. That's a really good question. According to the IRS data for the year that we have the most recent data, which is 2021, 6,158 federal estate tax returns were filed. Of those, 2,548 were taxable estates. There were 263 of those filed returns that were farm and ranch estates. So of the 6,158, 263 were estate tax returns filed on behalf of farm and ranch estates. Of those, 107 were taxable estates.
So what's your big takeaway from all of these numbers?
Well, the takeaway, I think at the current level of the exemption, very, very few farm and ranch estates are impacted. Now, for sure, some of the reason is because they're taking appropriate estate and business planning succession steps that's been engaged in, and one can argue whether you should have to do that or not. But on the other side, it's good to do that because it forces the family to deal with what their legacy is going to be and keep that farm in the family. But simply eliminating the federal estate tax won't make much of a dent in saving the family farm.
All right, Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Always great information. Thanks for being with us.